All right, well, back at the Caleb Fan Awards red carpet with Pastor Darren Whitehead. Darren, I had an opportunity to visit your church, Church of the City Franklin, just a couple weeks ago, and was talking to some of your congregation, and they were talking about how meaningful the digital fast that they went through. They were kind of an experiment, right?
They were the experiment, that's right.
And so they were telling me how impactful it was for them. And so what was it like for you in writing the digital fast? How hard was that to be someone who walks it out before you tell someone about it?
Well, we did it as a church before I wrote the book, and so I learned a lot while we did it as a church, you know? And I learned a lot of the reactions of people. I learned what were some of the most powerful components of this. And it turns out that doing it together is a lot easier than doing it on your own. You know, if you ask people, have you ever done a digital detox? Most people will say, no, but I need to. And it turns out that when you do it together, instead of experiencing FOMO, you experience JOMO, which is the joy of missing out. You know, you're kind of gamifying the entire experience, and it was really remarkable.
So what would be, so I have 4 kids, and screens are thrown at people, right? They're thrown at kids. What would be some recommendations for you for that parent that maybe is frazzled with life right now? They're trying to get their own stuff together. What are some alternatives? Like, what would you recommend to that family?
Well, if the kids are young, the average age of a kid getting a smartphone in America is 11. It's very young. We would recommend, and the best research recommends, that you don't give a child a smartphone till high school, which is about 14. Instead, give them a flip phone or a Gab phone or something that doesn't have access to the internet. The millennial generation did not have this terrible mental health crisis because they didn't have smartphones when they were in their early teens. They had flip phones. The Gen Z are the ones that have had the native experience of the smartphones, and it has caused a mental health crisis. So I would tell younger parents, like tween parents, preteen parents, to hold off doing that, and then don't give them social media until 16. Some of this is documented in a book called The Anxious Generation by Dr. Jonathan Haidt. It's a book that came out recently that is a social scientist. He calls this a collective action problem. That is, we all know that this is having a detrimental impact on our mental health, but none of us want to step back from this by ourselves. So if you take collective action, you do it as an entire group, it's so much easier to do.
So this is the Fan Awards, which means that it's impacted the people that are here today. What does it mean? Because that means it's touched people's lives. So what does being recognized for that with this book mean to you?
Well, I feel like in the last few years, and it's only the last few years, the society at large is asking themselves the question, is this smartphone taking from me more than it is giving me? And people weren't asking that question a few years ago. But now there is real data that is showing this problem with depression, with cutting, with suicide. All of these rates have escalated dramatically, and they're really correlating that closely to social media and the smartphone. And so I believe that the book is getting traction, it's resonating, because people are looking for guidance between addiction or Amish, right? There's got to be somewhere in the middle. And it's kind of like, is there a way that we can regulate our relationship with these devices and find a healthy way forward where these devices are helping us, not hurting us?
Well, Pastor Darren, thank you so much, and have a wonderful night. Nice meeting you.
Thanks for having me. Yeah.